Job hunting today is so easy. It's so easy that anyone can do it. Back in the day, we had to go down the local job centre or we had to open a local newspaper and apply for jobs directly. Some of them required us to phone up and ask for an application form to be sent to us, and then we spend a couple of days filling out an application form. Some of them required us to send a CV with a cover letter. Remember those days? Job applying took days. And I mean absolute days to happen. Some jobs, it took probably a couple of weeks to happen. Some jobs took months to respond to you as well, which were quite interesting. Today, job hunting can be done in seconds. One click, swipe left, swipe right, whatever it is, job hunting is made so easy. And if I'm quite frank with you, it's made it even worse. So what I want to talk about this week is what your job application looks like to the hiring manager and to the recruiter, and why it's important to try to stand out and why you're not getting a response, among other things. So let me kick off with the first extremely interesting thing that you may or may not know about your job application. So let me kick off with something. On your screen at this moment in time are 3 applications and what they look like to us, recruiters and hiring managers. And the reason I put them on your screen now is because I want to put them in your mind before we kind of kick off and move forward, so you can understand my perspective about this. Important things you need to understand. If you go for a job and there's a couple of 100 applications to them, this is what you look like and this is what other applicants look like at the same time. What does that mean to you? Well, that basically means that you are now an applicant that looks like every other applicant. So all your specialistness, all the effort you put into your CV, everything about you, how much you've read the job, how much you feel you're right for the job, has now become very generic amongst a sea of other people. So it's really important at this stage to make sure that this form is filled out correctly. So how do you do that? When you sign up to these job websites, you will have a couple of forms to fill out, or you will have information about yourself to fill out. If this information is not filled out up to date, then there's a very good chance unconscious bias will creep in. What do I mean? Take this read form, for instance. This read form has job title, employer, salary, and location on it. If your salary and location are different to the job you're applying for, instantly that hiring manager will think you're presuming that you're going to get this salary for this job, or you're not in the location, so how are you going to commute to work? Are you going to relocate? These are the things that start causing in that hiring manager's mind that you might not be ready to come for this job straight away or in a month. So that's unconscious bias straight away. Also, when you look at job title, for instance, the job title is a million miles away from the job title of that application, and it was a job title you accidentally left on there from 10-15 years ago of applying for jobs. Then there's a real high chance that your job application will be unconsciously biasedly decided whether or not to open your CV. And I will tell you one thing, people don't open the CV when that part of the form is wrong. It happens. You might think it's wrong, but it happens. But if you've got 100 of these applications in your inbox, people won't open them. So what have you got to do? You've got to make sure the information every time you apply for a job is correct. You've got to make sure that it stands out to the person that's reading it. It matches the job and salary, or at least it comes to as close as possible than generic. If you notice on some of these as well, they have cover letter at the bottom. And not many people fill this bit out. The cover letter's died. It's died a death in the last couple of years, and I think it's because of these job websites why it's died a death. I don't think people realise that information these days is still needed. It's still more than needed in that respect. And this is the problem with job websites. They've made the job hunt so easy that we've forgotten how to apply for a job. We've forgotten how to process information to another person that's advantageous to ourselves. We rely too much on this form or these applications and the strength of our CV. And that's where it falls apart. The strength of your CV on top of that is another issue. And because you're using job websites, there's a very high chance you've put one CV on there, it's generic, and it doesn't show all the information. On your screen at the moment is a piece of feedback off a rejection I did quite recently. And it's quite funny actually, because this particular applicant didn't put on their CV the relevant skill. They kept changing their CV for every single job and uploading it onto the job website. So did the advice that I suggest to do, but didn't pay attention to that. Now, can you imagine if you didn't pay attention to your CV when you uploaded it, it had grammatical errors and mistakes, and you use that for 100 job applications, and you wonder why you don't get a response for your job application. So what can you do? What can you do to solve this problem, to get better responses, to get more responses, to get invited for interviews? And I say it every week. You need to look at the job you're applying for. You need to make sure your CV is relevant for that job. It highlights the skills and abilities. You need to then go and find the recruiter, the hiring manager, the company, whoever it is that's looking for that particular person, and you've got to spend at least half an hour to an hour building your profile in order to sell into that particular company. And that's how you cut around half of these job boards and the generic methodology that's out there at this moment in time. And once you've done that, once you've built that and you send it to that right recruiter, to that hiring manager, you follow up with a phone call. You don't have to do it that day, you can do it the next day. Make a note, diarize it, turn your job hunting into a project-based system. You can either do that, or you could go find them on LinkedIn. This is probably the social media way of doing it. Find them on LinkedIn, try to friend request them, and then send them a message with your CV. Maybe that might be a quicker way of doing it. But the methodology at this moment in time, and especially if you're applying for very generic jobs that have hundreds of applications to, you will get swamped and lost. You have to stand out. Now, the candidates that do stand out, that do call the recruiters, do call the hiring managers, do have a better chance in theory than everyone else. But that's the problem. No one does that. We all go for this one-click option. It doesn't help everyone. Some people it does help have the relevant CVs, have the relevant applications. They're the ones that get the jobs before everyone else. They're the ones that are reading the entire advert and reciprocating and responding to that advert with the relevant information. And they're the ones that win on those job websites. The ones that don't win on those job websites are the candidates that hammer the crap out of them. I want to put a disclaimer at the end of this video as well. Not all your applications will ever be responded to. Companies are really bad at responding to applications. Recruiters are really bad at responding to applications. Nothing has really changed, but what I'm trying to do is improve the odds to get a response from your application, making you more involved in the application process yourself. It's not about just clicking and sending a CV anymore. The world has moved on again from that. We need to stand out even more. And as much as you as a candidate believe that you can bring a lot to the table, if you're just clicking and sending and doing nothing other than just waiting for a response, then are you really going to bring anything more to the table? And you've got to ask yourself that every time. So good luck in your next job search. Try these tips, see what happens, and let me know. Take care.